Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Muslim Marriage Podcast, where we talk about healthy relationships from a Muslim lens. I'm Zara Hassan,
And I'm AJ, and we've been married for 3 years now.
and let's get started.
Let's get started.
On today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to know if he's a good man. And I know that title sounds very simplistic, it sounds patronizing, but it really is the number one concern of women that I come across. And I'm sure that if I was still coaching men, they would have the same concern about women. But right now I'm coaching women, so therefore that's what the topic of today's episode is about. Their concern is, are there still good men? And if there is a good man, how am I supposed to know? Like, how do I recognize that he's a good man? So the first part of their question, are there still good men? I pose that to you, my dear.
Yeah, no, there absolutely are good men.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah, there are.
Okay. That's very reassuring.
I gave it deep thought.
Okay. Because, I deal particularly, specifically with women. Like, those are who my friends are. That's who I talk to. I am happy to report back that there are amazing, wonderful women that are capable of happy, healthy
You're
marriages.
only allowed one adjective, by the way.
I took out the whole thesaurus. That's how amazing they are. So let me ask you.
Well, you broke the rules.
Okay. So I'm asking you in turn. I'm assuming, is the same true for the men's side?
There are amazing, wonderful, beautiful, adjective, handsome men on this side as well. And
Okay.
we care for everyone. We are wonderful and amazing. I have more adjectives than you are, so I win.
Okay. Actually, if you have more adjectives, and that means the men are more wonderful, we win. But the women win.
Yeah, I guess because you guys are the consumers of men, that makes sense.
There you go. Okay, well that's okay. Right. We're just gonna go right through that. But
we live in a capitalist society.
Absolutely.
And men are the product.
Okay. All right. Depending on who you're talking to. But it's important to state, because as you're out there, because I know that I was there for a long time, and I know this is the reality of the dating apps, because of the medium of the dating apps. It makes it really easy place to meet people for everyone of all intentions, both good and bad, right? Mm-hmm. So for the people who have the stated intention of the matrimonial app, which is to find someone for the purpose of marriage, we'll call these people the good intention people. And for people who have any other intention, just for the sake of this podcast, we'll call it bad intention people, just for simplicity's sake. Yeah. So
otherwise it would get so complicated.
Yes. But the reality is, when you're out there and you're trying to search for a spouse, because of how easy it makes it to meet somebody for all intentions, including the bad intentions, you're going to have an overrepresentation of people who have bad intentions on the apps. And no one is, for obvious reasons, no one's actually sat down and done a study to find out what the exact proportions are. But anecdotally, for myself, for my clients, for everyone who I deal with, I would say assume it's like 50-1. So there's going to be around 50 for both men and women. There's going to be 50 people who have other intentions that are non-marriage related. For each person, for each one person who has the good intentions that are seeking a spouse for the purpose of marriage. So because of that overrepresentation, and because if you're on the apps, you keep coming across these people, it makes you despair a little bit, and lose that perspective of, are there good men at all? Do they even exist? At some point, you start asking yourself that question. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. Just before I met you, I was asking myself that question. I had come to terms with the fact that good intention people were few and far between. I was going to be unlikely to come across one, but I just applied my strategy, and trusted that if there existed one, that I would know how to recognize him. And alhamdulillah, I met you and I was able to recognize you. But I was in that group of people who had become so exhausted by the process, from all of the different array of interesting individuals that I came across, that you start to wonder, are there even normal people out there?
Well,
So,
let me pose a hypothetical to you.
mm-hmm,
We're gonna compare the modern day westernized dating and marriage system to
mm-hmm,
the old schooled or quote unquote old fashioned. That's the terms that they want to use now in the West
mm-hmm.
for marriage and quote unquote dating, right? So
Yes.
here, let's take our mind frame uh, from today, and we're gonna say if somebody is striving to only talk to somebody for the purposes of marriage, we in this day and age would see that as a rare commodity, right? A luxury. Because, as you said, the majority of people have been acclimatized to dating around,
Yeah.
right? To having multiple girlfriends. And there are some people online who are Muslim and are saying that sleeping around with women is the only way you'll be able to be married to one woman successfully, right? There are viewpoints around that are being pushed in that light, and those are viewpoints that are very easy to disagree with if you have like even a basic foundational understanding of Islam.
Yeah.
With regards to that, however, with that frame set, if we then jump backwards in time, those good men and good women who have
Mm-hmm.
these exceptional standards would be the norm.
Yeah.
So now that that's the norm, what's your standard for good men and good women? It's when they're married, they treat their husband and their wife wonderfully, right? They don't abuse them. They don't do any financial strain. They don't shout. They don't get into arguments, things like that. Those would be the new good men and good women. It was
Yeah.
the standard that people would only go to the bed when they are married. So that's not like now. It's basically saying, "Oh wow, in this day and age, at least when you drank the alcohol, you didn't drive the car," as opposed to saying, "Why did you drink the alcohol in the first place?"
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. I mean, the analogy works really well. Um, but we come back down, if we come back to today's world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Today's world, I think that everything that you said is agreeing with everything that I said, and the same problem stands, that you have people who are, when you are, so if let's say somebody downloads an app today, they're looking for a husband, and she starts meeting people. The reality is, from every 50 people she meets, 49 of the people, in one way or another, their intention is not marriage, right? So
Yeah.
there's many different kinds of intentions, right? So somebody might be looking for companionship without commitment. That's the most common type, actually. Somebody might be looking, might be somehow a manipulator. Somebody might be looking for a tangible gain. Honestly, there are even people who
Mm-hmm.
are there looking for followers, right? So there, for
Yeah.
their social media, there are so many different things that people are looking for that is not marriage. And because they are willing to be disingenuous in order to extract whatever it is that they're looking for from this woman who's downloaded the dating app, it makes it exhausting to be
Yeah.
able to over and over again having to go through these talking stages, especially if you can't recognize, if you have trouble recognizing the disingenuous people, you find yourself going through fruitless talking stages for weeks, for
Mm-hmm.
months at a time before before the other person starts to become so obvious that it's hard to recognize. So
Yeah.
those people are there and they are overrepresented. But the reality is that everyone, and I would say everyone's a strong word, but I would say a significant number of people who are Muslim and looking for a spouse have downloaded a dating app and are looking on the dating apps. So even though there are so many people who are wrong intentioned, most of the people who are good intention, and there are quite a few, they are not small in number. They are also on the profile. And the better that you
Mm-hmm.
get at being able to recognize the good intention people, like you said, who are capable of building a happy, healthy marriage, those good people, the faster it is that you'll be able to be able to filter for them, start meeting them, and to inshallah get off to meet the right person, the right people, and the right person, right?
Yeah.
So, in order to give a clear idea of what that good man looks like in today's podcast, we might do what a good woman looks like in a different podcast. We are first going to talk about his characteristics, what makes a good man, in general,
Mm-hmm.
just in general, because that's
Yeah.
a very abstract philosophical topic. But for our purposes, to give some concrete things to be able to look for during the courting process, in those terms, what should you look for at that point to good characteristics? And the second thing
Yeah.
we're going to talk about how that good men tend to move, what is their mindset, and how do they carry out, how are they going to approach you, so that you'll be able to recognize them based on their approach. And finally, we're going to go through today's questions that are on this topic, and inshallah apply some of these concepts. All of that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so if
We'll
we
get right into it.
we'll go right into it. So if we talk about their characteristics, there's so many characteristics, but we're just going to talk about 3 very quickly, right? So what are the good characteristics of a good man?
Fantastic memory.
Absolutely.
Never lies.
Never lies. Actually, that is the first one.
Finish the entire Quran.
Tabarakallah.
And I
Tabarakallah.
think
Yes.
praise 5 times a day. I think those plus others would be something that could have it so like if they were living maybe 1,000 years in the past,
Yeah.
they would have been a good candidate for a Sahih Hadith.
Yeah. But just for usually when it comes to coaching, because people are again at all different levels of the spectrum of spirituality and their iman, right? Like God knows I'm in no position to judge anyone else's iman, so I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I generally we use the principles of Islam, but we make room for everyone of all levels of iman. So when we talk about the characteristics, we talk about characteristics of a good human being in general, and inshallah these are common amongst the Muslims, but good human being in general. So with the first one, we're going to talk about consistency, in terms of the consistency between his words and his actions. Words and his actions. So if he says something, his actions will match. For example, you met a brother, and you're in the talking stage and everything's been established, and this brother has given you the impression that tabarakallah he's practicing and he prays 5 times a day, and you are on the phone with him, right? You're on the phone with him, you're talking with him, and Maghrib comes and Maghrib goes, and this gentleman is still talking to you on the phone.
Yeah.
So that is an indication, an observation that maybe what he's saying is not lining up with what he does. Right?
Mm-hmm. By the way, I should mention,
Mm-hmm.
My example was a very high standard. I was expecting you to call me out on it,
Mm-hmm.
but you thought I was being serious about it.
It's the standard actually. It's not just like those are the 5 pillars.
No, it's a very high standard to have flawless memory and to memorize the entirety of the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what you would be determined to be a person that's eligible for a Sahih Hadith.
Yeah.
That's a very high standard.
I mean, those are my standards, but yes. I'm
That's
kidding.
like PhD level.
I'm kidding. No, I was just mostly focusing on I didn't catch the joke. I thought you were being serious. So I just wanted to qualify it and say, let's make some room for the rest of us. within the
That's
definition so
like
that we also qualify.
that's like me saying that he has to be 19 years old with $3 billion,
The in today, yes.
and that's a good man.
Okay. I mean, that's debatable. How did he get that
Yeah,
level of money?
it's a very high standard.
There we go.
Oh yeah, no, he was a nepo baby.
Is that what it is? All right, that's fine then. But yes, so that's the first characteristic: consistency between words and actions. Yes, and the second characteristic would be respect, but a little bit more specific, right? So then, not only that he respects you, but he respects your feelings, he respects your opinions, and he respects your boundaries, right? So let's go through each one. When he respects your feelings, it's hard to give too many examples with regards to this, but it's somebody who takes into account your stated needs. So for example, if you are somebody who requires reassurance, and I'm one of those people, right? Because we are all on the different parts of the spectrum for attachment, right? Some of us need more reassurance than others to feel okay. I'm one of those people. Having told you that, because you want me to be okay and you want me to feel well, you provide more reassurance, right? So somebody who respects your feelings, doesn't try to invalidate that, doesn't try to dismiss them or talk you out of them, respects them and then tries to meet your needs so that you're okay. With respect to, sorry, with respect to,
You've researched these points, right?
yes, of course.
You're doing an amazing job.
Oh, I appreciate that.
It's wonderful. Spot on analysis.
Thank you.
Really, really, really respectable.
I feel really reassured. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And second, with respect to respecting your opinions, I think that one is self-explanatory. And finally, respecting your boundaries. I know I usually don't recommend that people put up tests, but a simple boundary that I used to have back when I was meeting people is I didn't really like to talk on the phone after a certain hour. So right, so I would tell people, when it's 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. or whatever it is, I'm not going to be talking on the phone. I have to get ready for the evening. And then the people who would call after that, that would be a very simple indicator to me that that's not someone who respects my boundaries.
It's a very easy litmus test.
Yes, exact. That's perfect. Litmus test. It's a very simple.
It's a wonderful boundary that you set up.
Thank you. I usually don't recommend putting up tests, but if there was one, that would be the only one that I would recommend, right? Just because it's so important to see who it is that's going to respect your boundary. So respect.
And it's so easy to not fail.
You would think so. To be honest, you're the only one who respected that boundary. Everyone else just pushed it a little bit. And the good thing is because they pushed it, I was able to cross them, like filter them out a lot faster. So that's the second characteristic. And the third characteristic is protection. Because if you ask most people, both men and women, what is the role of a man within America, like the traditional role of man? He's a provider and a protector, right? So this question of protection, many clients ask me, how do I know if he's a good protector? You have to distinguish between if what he is doing is trying to protect you or trying to control you, because there is a fine line there. I think we've discussed this before, but we're going to review it right now. And I usually give the example of, let's say you're outside with your friends, your female friends, you're out there at a restaurant somewhere, and this individual is concerned. And he calls you. So it depends on what he's concerned about. So if he's a protector, he's going to be concerned about your well-being. And that conversation is going to go something like, oh, assalamu alaikum. And then you say, wa alaikum assalam. I'm actually out right now with my friends at such and such place. And he will say, oh, I'm so sorry. No, I didn't know that. Okay, all right. Just let me know when you're home. That's it. And he leaves because his concern is your safety and your well-being. Somebody the other person who is more controlling rather than protecting. His concern is about other people's access to you, and or in, especially when it competes with his access to you. So he'll call and assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm actually out with my friends right now. And he'll say, which friends? I didn't know you were with friends. You know, you're always talking to them. I don't know if I like that girl or I don't like this girl. She's not very good for you. And you haven't talked to me
Yeah.
all day today. I mean, I'm just sitting here and I'm waiting. That's a whole, and then you say, okay, all right, when are you going to get home? Okay, I'm going to get home at such
Okay,
and
in this
such
case,
time.
I'll take the for the next couple of sentences, I'll take the position of the guy.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't like your friends. Why are you always out with them? You should hang out with me.
I don't, I'm
Hey,
not married to
hey,
you. Yes,
you,
yes,
you.
yeah.
I don't like your girlfriends.
Okay. I forgot the next lyric. I honestly did. I don't. Hey, you. I don't like your girlfriend. Yes, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a solid joke. I really like it, but I'm blanking on the next lyric. But In Shaa Allah, the difference between the two is clear. Between somebody who is more protective and more controlling, that is one example. But you just basically observe this person and how it is that he conducts himself with respect to you. Is he concerned about your safety? If you're out late, is he checking in? When he drops you off with your family, is he waiting until you guys get to the door? Things like that. And how is he with his sisters, his moms, his other people that are under his protection? How is he with them? Is he concerned for their safety? These are all indicators of somebody who's protective. So consistency between his words and his action,
Yeah.
respect with regards to you, your feelings, your opinions, and your boundaries, and protection. Right. So those are some very important characteristics. There are obviously many, many more. And when it comes to evaluating what the person has good character, we've talked about this before. In general, you're looking for somebody who you admire, right? Who you admire. And if you had a child, you would who's the same gender as them, you would want them to be just like them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there are two ways to admire someone. There's the obvious method,
Mm-hmm.
right, where you actually admire someone. There's the secondary, much less known method,
Oh,
where every time they access the internet,
yeah.
you make it so that there's just pop-up ads everywhere and they can't move around much. You mire them with ads.
All right, that's a good one. I like that. I didn't see it coming, but that was really good.
Also, those filters that you found, they're wonderful filters, amazing. Actually, I think if you were to take your filter and pour black coffee into it, it's such a great filter that water would come out the other end.
Absolutely. That's honestly metaphorically that's what it is that I'm trying to help people do. So that if
Yeah.
you apply the things correctly, you can make it so that the next person that you are in a talking stage with is inshallah your spouse, and
Mhm.
everyone else is just filtered out. Right? So that's why
Yeah.
that's
I
why we go through these
When I was
topics.
making the metaphor, I knew it would hit, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't tell jokes, first and foremost.
No,
Everything I
not at all.
say is with a straight face because I'm only trying to be beneficial.
Absolutely. Which is why I took you so seriously with that other one. With that initial
Yes,
the initial one of Tabarakallah,
absolutely.
that impossible man.
I'm just trying to find
Uh
ways to gaslight you. I think I'm
this
succeeding.
I it, I mean it doesn't I didn't even know you were gaslighting, so it is succeeding. So
Wonderful.
so those are his characteristics. So let's talk about the approach. And I know it's a little bit weird for me to be talking a little bit about the approach of a man, but let me give a little bit of input and then you tell me if I'm right or wrong. All right.
Okay.
So what I have surmised is that in general, when a good man decides to be married, it's an active, conscious, and intentional decision that he has thought out, and he has reached a point in his life where he says, "I want to be married. I want to
Mm-hmm.
find someone, and I want to get married to them. Inshallah, it's not
Yeah.
random. Yeah, it's not random. So once he has made this decision, in today's age, most of these men are going to download a dating app, but his approach on the dating app is going to be different from everyone else's, because his intention
Yeah.
is to find a spouse. They read bios. Were you reading bios?
Yeah, I was reading bios.
Yeah.
First, I would look at the profile picture,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would read the bio.
Okay. So you weren't doing that thing where it's just right swipe on everyone. Like you're just clicking,
Oh
right,
no,
right, right, right.
no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Uh, if the bio is horrendous,
Yeah.
I would swipe. What's the opposite of good?
A left in this
Yeah,
case. Yeah.
yeah,
So you would swipe left. Okay, so that makes perfect sense, which is what I have come across after coaching other men as well. Good men who have the intention to get married and find a wife, are actually sitting down and reading through the bios, right?
mm-hmm.
That means as a woman, your bio matters. It matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need to be writing to him, specifically, so that he'll be able to recognize you. Like, what were you looking for in the bio? Do you remember?
Yeah, someone that's actually down to earth,
Mm-hmm.
isn't expecting a millionaire,
Yes.
somebody who will uh, show that they're at the very least humility, right?
Yeah.
There's no sense of arrogance there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Someone who's willing to allow you to go through the necessary steps to try to protect them and the family
Mm-hmm.
that you guys create. Uh, a, a, a different way to answer that question for the woman's side, I suppose, is uh, a man who's willing to die for you, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I think the fastest way to do that is to put yourself in life-threatening situations
Just right off
on
the
meeting
bat.
number 1, 2, and 3. And if he successfully gets you out of those situations without him or anyone else getting seriously injured or dying, I mean, like moderate injury is okay, right? It's expected. It's a life-threatening situation.
Yes.
However, if he gives up on you, then you know that you just found someone. You just move on.
If you still can.
Yeah.
It's a
So
big
for the
if.
men, what you can do is you can put them in life-threatening situations just so that you can get a sense of urgency,
Yeah.
that they'll need to rely on you. You know.
All right, that's interesting. I'm not sure I can co-sign that, but that is definitely one way to go. But what you said, with regards to what you're looking for, it sounds like you're looking for somebody who is kind and accepting, inshallah, and
Yeah.
allows you to be you, right? Allows you to be you, which is pretty much what
Allows me to be
most.
better than me.
Oh, there you go, and that's the pretty much what most humans, both men and women, are looking for. Um,
Yeah.
but the important thing is that you read the bio, looking for those indicators. Um, so it's important that we pay attention to the bio. Having said that, when I skipped a step. I skipped a step. When he first downloads the dating app, he is also going to write a well thought out bio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I found. That the reality is, when men are looking for somebody for the purpose of marriage, they're going to sit down and they're going to spend time to write their bio. They're going to ask their friends, if necessary, ask for other people's input. It's going to be something that they take seriously, and you'll be able to. That will come through upon reading it. It'll be multiple paragraphs, inshallah, decent grammar, and it will look like effort was put in, right? So when that's another good sign that this is somebody whose intentions are relatively sincere. This is on the
Yeah.
dating.
I've just come up with a motto for that, by the way.
Yeah.
We can have the dating apps poach it. The motto is a good bio will make you say bio faster to the app.
Okay. I like it. All right, you heard it here first, folks. I'm sorry, Speech is not cooperating today. We're gonna do our
No,
best.
it's not that it's not cooperating. It's that my speech is so eloquent that you lost skill.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yes, I'm gonna do my best. In Shaa Allah. Tabarakallah.
Inshallah.
So it's so that's what the approach is in terms of their bio. But when it comes to the inbox, and I've been talking about it a lot in my webinars, when a man decides this is somebody who I would like to approach, he swipes right on you and you match, what is he going to say? In my opinion, just tell me if I'm right or wrong. In my opinion, instinctually, a man is going to be trying to impress you. If he likes you, he's going to be trying to impress you.
Yeah, you're spot on. Like, I mean, that has been ingrained in men
Yes.
from birth all the way up to whatever stage in life they are. That men are the chasers and women are the ones that are evaluating.
So
Even with the animal kingdom, right? You got the male birds that are flashy. You know, they got the bright feathers.
there you go.
You know, the lion's the one that's the strongest and can take care of. It's all in the pursuit of impressing women. So the men have that drive to just impress the woman by being the most impressive they can,
Yeah.
even if it is peacocking and just showboating.
So how would you try to impress her from? So you met somebody, and you swiped, you've matched, and you now have to say something.
Yeah, I mean, when I read your bio, I recognized that you were an intelligent and funny person, and so I hit you back with some intelligent and funny lines.
I appreciate that. So you read my bio. Usually, what I've noticed is that when a man is trying to impress a woman, he does three things. First is he'll try to demonstrate that he read your bio. Right? He will take some aspect from it and tell you, "Hey, I read your bio," to let you know that he's serious. Number two, he will try to make you laugh, because somehow it's understood that by men that if you are able to make a woman laugh, that gives you a much better chance with her. So second, he'll
It's
try
because it relays confidence.
yes, so he'll try to make you laugh. And then number three is he will tell you about the accomplishments he is proud of, right? So usually related to his career, his academics. And I remember that's exactly what you did. You told me that you read my bio, you made me laugh, and then you told me about your accomplishments, right? Like, this is what I'm doing with my life, and this is
I was
what
able
I'm
to go
working
down
on.
the swing by myself.
There you go. And
I was very proud.
Tabarakallah, you did it all in one paragraph. It was very impressive. But in general, those are the types of things that you're going to look for in the initial approach, right? And of course, then the way that it can get much more detailed. I go through a little bit more in the webinar in terms of what would a courtship look like, right? How does that tend to proceed with a good man versus a good intention man versus other intention man, and so on. Overall, if I were to summarize all of it, it would be to say that it's how you feel, right? It's how you feel around him that will be the best indicator. And the way that you'll feel is your nervous system is not really activated. You are calm. That you understand that this is you are on the same page and you understand where this is going, so you don't feel confused. And it will be similar to how you feel around your really good friends or siblings or somebody that you feel accepted by and you feel comfortable being yourself around. You feel that way. So that will be a very good indicator that you're dealing with somebody whose intentions are sincere. You're
Sorry,
smiling.
I'm just
You're smiling.
I'm just laughing because it's something you said earlier.
What did I say?
You said your nervous system. You know it's a safe position because your nervous system doesn't get activated. And I know you're saying like you don't get nervous.
It's
Now I'm just imagining a woman who meets someone that she likes and she's like, I'm blind. I can't hear. Oh no.
SubhanAllah.
I can't feel anything. Everything just shuts down.
It's all gone. Oh,
She's like, I found the one, but it feels so bad.
I feel nothing. Oh, that
Oh
is
my.
that. I mean, it would be there would be no reason for me. Like I would be out of a job completely if it was that easy.
Yeah. You could just sort of tell, I didn't know how, but I could just sort of tell.
Yeah, they
I
say
just woke up 5 minutes later and after falling into a coma.
they say they ask if love is blind. I didn't know love is blinding. It's a whole different situation.
Uh,
But I
it
apologize
would
for
be
that.
awful.
That's a terrible
It
joke.
would
I
be awful if you
apologize.
met your soulmate while you were driving a vehicle.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's
actually happened to me once, way back, when I was younger.
mhm.
I was not when driving a vehicle, but this was this was back when I was like maybe 18 years old or something.
Mhm.
I was working at a warehouse job, and I was the assistant to a truck driver. You know those little box trucks,
Yeah.
and this was back in my rebellious phase. Where my hormones just flashing left and right.
Okay.
So I was helping this guy. I was pushing this trolley. You know those things that you just carry the boxes on.
Yeah.
It was like flat cart, and him and I were walking down this long hallway, and this woman turns the corner,
Mhm.
right? And she's very pretty. For some reason, I had it in me to just continue looking at her face and be like, "Wow, she's very pretty." And I just walked the shopping thing right into a wall.
Oh no.
Yeah, straight out of like a rom-com or a TV show or something. I just walked it right into the wall. I composed myself and we moved on.
Yeah, and then opening credits, the movie starts. That's how they met.
Literally, I felt like what's that guy's face from the, the How I Met Your Mother.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's there you go. I'm glad that one didn't work out.
It
Alhamdulillah.
didn't work out, no.
Alhamdulillah. But yeah, it's like that. So in general, how you feel is going to be calm, not confused. Everything makes sense. Very similar to how you feel around the people that you love in your life who accept you.
Hmm.
You can use that. That's a good way. That's a good meter stick to or yardstick to use.
Yeah,
So those are so that's the characteristics and that's the general approach of how good men moves, right?
yeah,
That brings us to the questions. We have two questions. Again, from Muslim marriage subreddit. Honestly, they're undefeated in terms of being a place for uh, where people ask questions with regards to their relationship. So we're just, if it works, that's what we're sticking to. Um,
I just thought of something very profound,
Go ahead.
and I don't know if it's a good idea or if it's a bad idea, and I don't know if it's something that you can just make a company out of it and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like something that's very very easy to um, very easy to
Monetize?
duplicate or steal from.
Okay.
Essentially, it's a product line in which you write down all the red flags and all the green flags,
Mm-hmm.
and the person, the man or the woman, when they're going in for the first meeting, will give the it's like on an actual yardstick, and
Yeah.
they'll give it to the person. They'll say, "This is my yardstick."
Oh. All right. What would you call it?
I thought we would just call it the yardstick.
The
Oh,
yardstick?
don't put me on the spot like that. I'm gonna put that onto the yardstick.
There you go. Once again, another product that would put me out of a job. But we will until we have that, until somebody comes up with that. Inshallah, we're just gonna continue with the next question.
With words.
There,
Yeah.
there you go. Do you want me to read this one?
Yeah, I'll read this one.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
So, this one comes off of our favorite website, Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "Please help. First marriage proposal. Congratulations to the man or woman.
Mm-hmm.
Hey everyone. I'm a 21-year-old woman from a conservative family, and I've received an arranged marriage proposal from a 24-year-old man. Everything about him seems good. He's attractive, financially stable, and my family has a positive impression of his family after speaking to mutual relatives. However, through mutual Instagram connections, I've stumbled upon some comments that he made on a girl's picture, think flirty emojis and stuff. And I've noticed him appearing with her in stories. This had me anxious and a bit insecure. Am I overthinking this? My parents are supportive and won't force me into anything, but they really like this guy and want me to meet him. If things go well, they're suggesting engagement first, with marriage planned for 2 to 3 years down the line. I'm feeling overwhelmed. What if things don't turn out well? Is it normal to feel scared about such a big step at my age? Any advice or experience would be greatly appreciated.
Interesting. What do you think?
I think she should get out, like that movie.
Do you think that uh what so she went on Instagram and she
Yeah,
saw some comments that are relatively flirty, and
sure.
she's seen some pictures of him appearing with the same person in the stories. It's the same person, right? Yeah, same
Yeah,
person in the Instagram stories, which is interesting
yeah.
because Instagram stories are not permanent; they get deleted within
Hmm.
24 hours. Um, how and you're thinking that this is enough that she needs to walk away?
Well, so here's the thing, right? Like, it's first strange that he would have flirty things on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
which I presume Instagram is a person to person thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So uh, that means that whoever was on the receiving side
yeah.
shared it amongst their friends,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow that screenshot came to this person. It's different if it was after meeting them and after discussing this process
Mm-hmm.
that he was still going about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, just openly flirting with someone like that, though, I think is a big enough red flag
Yeah.
that it's not worth it, right?
I think that if it had just been the comments, then it would be worth the conversation. But because she said Instagram stories, that means that it's something that's happening right
They're in
now.
contact with each other.
Yes, that's happening right now, and it's more than in terms of contact. That this is somebody that he has some level of relationship with, whether it's friendship or however he decides. He he defines it, and it sounds like this is going to be an issue for this young woman, rightfully so. It would
Yeah.
definitely be an issue for me. um so yeah, I agree that this gentleman, I would walk away from the situation, because when people ask what is the most important aspect of marriage, what is it that makes a marriage work, or and makes a marriage work, or marriage not work, is some people say things like respect, they say love, they say these are all important, but I think at its very bedrock, it's trust. Trust is everything. And in
Yeah.
all forms of trust, including in terms of fidelity and loyalty. And any
Yeah.
kind of question mark that is there, especially before marriage, it's already compromised. That means this is going to be a question mark in her mind each time that he is hiding his phone, each time that he comes home late from work, each time he's not right there in front of her and there's a possibility that he was with somebody else. This might be a question, right? And marriages can't work that way. So even
They
if
really can't.
yeah, so even if everything that was happening was completely innocent, and I doubt it, um because there is now this question of trust, I would walk away from the situation if I were this young woman. And the way that the way that they met is through family, right? So it is through family. And the reason why we chose this specific question is to reiterate that it really, unless you're meeting somebody in, I don't know, like a completely non-Islamic environment,
Yeah.
if whether you're meeting someone on an app, through family, through a masjid, through a matchmaking service, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Even if somebody comes vetted through family, you still have to do your own vetting process, because
Yeah,
how an individual presents in front of other people may or may not be the same as how they present themselves in front of you.
literally.
Yeah.
Like we both know that Vin Diesel is not the best judge of character.
Yeah. Why Vin Diesel?
What do you mean why?
Mm-hmm.
He's always going on about family.
Oh, yes. Honestly, I've never seen even one of those movies. Alhamdulillah. But,
Family. I am Groot.
okay. All right.
For copyright reasons, I didn't say the G.
Thank you. But that's what it is. So she met this person through family, and there's already a question of fidelity, right?
Mm.
It could be that everything is completely innocent, but because she has this question, it's going to become an issue. It's more than likely
Yeah.
going to become an issue. So that's the first question. We can go through the second question. This one is titled "Changing My Mind After Meeting Him." She says, I, 28-year-old female from India, have been talking to a 28-year-old male from Germany for a month now on chat and calls. We both are very opposite in terms of personality. He is very extroverted and talks a lot, and I am very introverted and quiet. We had a very different upbringing too. There is nothing relatable about each other. He grew up in a different state in India. On our chats and call, he mostly only talked about his business, how he is handling it, how busy he gets because of it. I feel like he doesn't have anything else in his life apart from work. No hobbies or interests. His entire life is just about how busy he is managing his family business. Nothing wrong with that, of course, but that's all that he talks about. He told me he doesn't like to watch movies or read books because they take too much time. And he can't sit idle for too long. He likes to travel, but only if it involves business. I started to feel that if we got married, he will just be too busy with his work and won't have any time for me. Still, I thought if we spend enough time talking, I'll know for sure if I like him. A few days ago, I met him with my family when he came to India with his family, and I saw his personality up close. I realized that everything that I was thinking was true. Our meet felt like a business meeting to me. He wasn't at all shy or hesitant. In fact, he was the one speaking the most. His parents sat quietly. The thing is that I like guys who speak softly and who are a bit shy. He isn't like that at all. Nothing. It's good that he is a hardworking businessman, but what else? I didn't see any other personality traits. He isn't funny or sweet or caring or thoughtful. Now, my family wants me to go ahead with this as he is from a good family and they liked him too. I don't know what to do. I kind of liked him before the meeting him. Is it too early to judge someone? Am I being too demanding or whiny? Should I just ignore all these thoughts and hope that eventually I like him? I like him more once I get to know him more. Please help. And she is 28-year-old female and he's a 29-year-old male. What do you think?
I don't have enough information on the guy to make an accurate assessment of this, but it looks like the woman is putting money aside for connection, which is respectable, right? Not many people would.
Mm-hmm.
Many people would be like, okay, so what? As long as I don't have to work, as long as he's making the money for me, I get to stay home, then that's good. So in this instance, she'll have to weigh her pros and cons. But I think if she's not feeling the connection, um, it it's not necessarily gonna get worse
Mm-hmm.
than what it is right now, because it seems like it's already baseline, just pure business and professional.
Yeah.
Uh, I think with people, they fall in love more Islamically through marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It's not supposed to be passion from the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
right? It almost is like sort of like a business meeting, sorting out this person's background with their family. Their family's like, okay, this is their character, this is how they act here, this is their upbringing. The other person's like, okay, this. Do they mesh,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then once they find that that person sort of meshes with this person with like their attributes, their goals, their dreams, their behaviors, then they might have the conversation. But it's very possible for people to not even meet, um, like in that manner where they're actually talking to each other. It's very possible for them to immediately get engaged and then get married and then fall in love afterwards,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't see it as a runaway type of situation based off of just the initial meetings,
Mm-hmm.
because marriage does soften a man's heart.
Yeah.
Marriage does, like you can have the most business oriented, toughest man in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but when they get married, their heart will change and they will love their wife. And yeah, like it'll come naturally, I think.
Yeah. I agree. I especially with the first part where you said there just wasn't enough information because sorry,
Mm-hmm.
like she doesn't have. In my opinion, I agree with you. There just isn't enough information yet to make that decision, because it says I'm looking back at it that she's a 28-year-old female and he's a 29-year-old male. So they're old enough and mature enough to be able to have make the right decision. And they were speaking for a month on
Yeah.
chats and calls. The only part that would give me pause at the very end, near the end, where she says, I didn't see any other personality traits. He isn't funny or sweet or caring or thoughtful. Those are the things that she's concerned about. This is translating to me that she doesn't feel seen by this individual, right? She
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel seen because what the most powerful aspect of connection is when somebody it makes you feel like that you not only are valued but you are seen. You know, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, you, you want to feel like your partner is there to hear it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had this been a
It does make a sound, by the way, to answer the question.
yes, it does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
especially
does.
so it
Yeah.
absolutely. But in this case, because it's only been in a month and she's only met him one time, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that there has been enough time to be able
She's
to,
met him only one time,
yeah, just the one time when he came to the family.
but they've talked before though, no?
They've been talking on the phone, chats and calls, and by how busy he is, I think it's probably not even as consistent, very consistent as she
Yeah.
would like. It's probably sporadic, right? And that's probably part of the frustration there. So there hasn't been enough time. I would recommend that this be a conversation between them. Even though they're not married,
Mm-hmm.
you can still talk about what you expect in order to be able to take a partner seriously, right? So she can have a
Yeah.
conversation and just say, you know what, I think you're a really great person, and you always start with the positive, so that the other person will be able to hear you, right? Whenever you, this is just um a part of being human. Like this is just something that I learned, and a lot of people recommend under any circumstances. Whenever you're having a conversation, um,
Yeah.
you start with the positive so that the other person will be able to hear you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think the tabarakallah, I think you're a great person. I really admire how hardworking you are and dedicated that you are to your family's business. Inshallah, I have no doubt that you're going to succeed one day, inshallah. But in the meantime, um, I can it's really important for me to know that my spouse is going to be able to meet my needs emotionally, right? In order
Yeah.
for me to take them seriously, right? And what that means is that he's going to be able to show me that he's serious by wanting to communicate with me on a regular basis, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's if that's not happening, then I don't know if we're fully compatible, right?
Yeah. I don't think they are
No, I think
compatible. One is extroverted, the other is introverted.
yeah, I would say that
He's the
that's
extroverted one
he's the extroverted one, right? Because he works in business.
because of the business.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but the
I think his I think his focus is entirely too much on honing his craft as a businessman. Maybe he's just too immersed in that field that he thinks that's the only language people speak.
Yeah. But I think that she just, I don't think he knows who he is, what he looks like in a relationship yet. And she doesn't know what he looks like in a relationship yet, just because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll see clients, and they'll tell me that the way that they've been approaching meeting people to date is just very clinical, very very serious, and honestly with no room to gauge connection, and connection is very important. It's very important.
Yeah.
So I think that she doesn't yet know whether or not there is a connection there. There hasn't been much opportunity because he's been too busy. Um,
Yeah.
and that there hasn't been enough time. So I would schedule a conversation, have that conversation, and see how he responds. If he
Yeah.
still is not able to adjust, then that is going to tell her more than anything else that, yeah, she might be right. He might not be concerned. Remember what we said, the good man that you're looking for respects your feelings. He might not
Yeah.
be respecting her feelings. He might be not be thinking that. And even during that conversation, based on how it goes, he might say something like, you know what, I get what you're saying, but I'm not like you. I don't have any kind of time. I'm giving you the time that I have. And I don't, in some way, dismissing her concerns. The reason why connection is important is because it will be the basis, right? It will be the basis for your support routines. Because you remember, in order for a marriage to work, the bedrock of it is trust. But the habits that the two of you form, you need to have habits with regard to resolving conflict, so good conflict resolution routines, and you need to have habits of support routines. These are the routines that build bonding between the two of you.
Yeah.
So what this bonding will do is that it will deepen your connection, deepen your trust within one another, so that when things are difficult and life gets difficult, right? When things are difficult and even the conflict resolution is hard, and the two of you are sitting on opposite sides of the couch, and
Yeah.
both of you are triggered, remember, like, that deep connection, that bond that you have one another is what's going to carry you through. So for example, if you are having a fight with your sibling, like, this is unusual for the two of you, but you had this fight that was all out,
Yeah.
and it's just you're now sitting on opposite sides of the couch and you don't know how to proceed. That shared history of you with your sibling, right? That shared history, that shared lifetime, that bond is what's going to carry you through, so that to be able to resolve the issue even when words fail, right? So if you don't have the initial connection, or if you don't have the
Yeah.
mechanisms in place to be able to form and deepen that connection, which might be, we don't know yet because there hasn't been enough time or enough information, but if there's a possibility that that's what's missing, this marriage is going to be very hard to make work.
So
Mm-hmm.
if I were a practical person, right? If I were
Mm-hmm.
born a woman and I were in this lady's position,
Mm-hmm.
I I would choose to go through with the marriage, uh, because the guy appears to
Mm-hmm.
be in a position where he will be financially stable,
Mm-hmm.
right? Allahu A'lam, Allah's the best of planners. But it would give me the
Mm-hmm.
freedom to be able to focus on my deen, right? Like, I would be able
Mm-hmm.
to uh, take care of the children,
Yeah.
raise them up properly under our
Mm-hmm.
values, right? We wouldn't have to take them off to daycare. We wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
to compromise in their care. And I could spend that time either reading the Quran, learning the Quran, praying, just building up my deen. And I think with marriage comes ease of communication, right? Allah does soften the hearts.
But yes, there is a softening process, but there is a difference between whether you are starting with a Play Doh or you're starting with a rock.
Hmm.
A rock can only soften so far,
That's
right?
why you have to just
So,
keep spraying water at him.
okay. All right. But what you said, I understand a lot of people have that viewpoint,
Yeah,
but I cannot tell you the number of people who are coming to me who are well to do financially
yeah.
and their marriage is breaking down.
Hmm.
If what it was that made a marriage work was finances, again, for the third time in this podcast, I would be completely out of a job
I don't think it's just
because there would,
finances though, because
yeah,
the second part of my answer was strengthening your deen, right? And part of the strengthening your deen is going through what to do in marriage situations, right? Um,
yeah, but
if and this was something I fell into with my first marriage, right? I didn't I didn't know or research what to do in those situations from the Islamic viewpoint, right?
mhm,
I I acted and she acted based off of our understanding of how we go through
yeah,
situations.
yeah. The the Islamic understanding of how to resolve situations is a huge asset.
Hmm.
It is a huge asset and the basis of most of what we do in our life, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much everything that we do in our life. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also made available, because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was a
So
human being. He could only live so long,
yeah.
right? There could only be a certain number of scenarios.
Hmm.
And it's going to be very difficult for him to live through every single scenario and for every scenario to be recorded such that we would not need any other type of knowledge.
Yeah.
So there is room and there is space for we'll say secular
Hmm.
knowledge, right? Secular knowledge and on what it is that tends to work, because there are plenty of marriages that are non-Muslim that work.
Yeah.
That work. 50% of marriages are at work. 25% of them are happy, right? So there are plenty of marriages that do work. And I think it's important to take uh good information from wherever you find it. And in this case, what I can tell you is that there are things that tend to make a marriage work. Having a good, stable financial situation definitely is an aspect.
Hmm.
Having shared religious values, and that are manifested through regular practice
Hmm.
is extremely helpful, right? Especially because our religion is um, based around making sure that the family unit works in this case with respect to
Very cohesive. Yeah.
marriages. Yes, yes. But even the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said
So
that there are other things that can help make. There are multiple hadiths that point to other things. For example, good manners,
hmm.
which is what we were talking about, akhlaq, right? What we were talking about, character is important, right? So there are plenty of people, and I know we all know specific examples, who have memorized the Quran, who are seemingly outwardly very practicing individuals, but their character is not great,
Yeah.
right? Their character makes it so that they're a difficult person to deal with in one
Hmm.
way, shape, or form or another. Um, so in this case,
There's a cheat for
it's
that, by the
also,
way. If
yeah,
you have a person whose character it is who's tough to deal, if they're arrogant, what you can
yeah,
do is whenever you're going to have a discussion with them, uh, either you both sit down
mm-hmm,
or you both lay down next to each other while you're talking, right? Because
okay,
uh, we know that a person has a hard time being arrogant when they're sitting down, and even less so when they're laying down.
this might be true,
It is true. It's a
but
hadith.
oh, yes, tabarakallah. But I'm saying that in there with respect to when it comes to
Oh yeah,
choosing your spouse,
yeah.
um, I would I would recommend that you choose somebody who uh is at least not arrogant when it comes to you. I'm not saying that this brother is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that we have no idea what this brother is, but be careful to not choose somebody who might be arrogant. Instead, to choose somebody who is respecting you and your feelings and all the things that we mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and takes you and your humanity, right? Your humanity into consideration with how he moves, who takes your well-being, right? Not just financial well-being. There is emotional well-being, physical well-being, spiritual well-being, who takes these things into consideration when with how he moves and how it is that he interacts with you, just as I'm sure she is taking into consideration with him, right? So it isn't a one-way street that I am going to be emotionally available to you and giving to you and etc. and meeting your emotional needs. But for me, I just get a paycheck. Those situations don't work.
Yeah.
Those situations don't work. There needs to be a mutual, a consensual, reciprocal exchange of the meeting of emotional needs, and respect and trust and all of these things that come together, uh, to build a healthy, stable bond, right?
Actually,
And
fantastic points.
thank you, I really appreciate that. But the only indicator really with respect to when it comes to a bond, that aspect of marriage that you have when meeting somebody, is that connection.
Mm-hmm.
And is their capacity to, and their willingness to be able to at least try to improve it. Like if you feel like, you know what, there's potential here, but I think like I need more information. I want to see whether or not this could really improve. And
Yeah.
you have that conversation and then see whether or not the other person makes efforts to improve. Because if the other person is making efforts to improve, that means there's capacity, and away you go. Right? But it's important to have that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry,
Be-
go
uh,
ahead.
Before we finish up the um, program today, I actually had something that I thought about. And
Mm-hmm.
if anyone's able to make it happen, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even have to credit me. A fast food place or a restaurant, they
Yeah.
have customers that yell at the staff, right?
Yeah.
And why is
Mm-hmm.
that? It's because they're all standing. They're all standing when they're at the counter. So
Okay.
why don't we install a singular stool,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the customer, when they're about to order, we have them sit down on the stool. And they make
That
their
might
order
work.
from a seated position so they're less arrogant.
That might work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that's a really good idea. You
Yeah.
have like it's time for you to order, and the stool is on the floor.
Yeah, the stool is right in front of the counter. People will walk up and sit down on the stool.
No, what I would say is that it's not even
Don't
like hip height.
no,
Make it go onto the floor
don't even
so
tell
that
me
they have to
you're
sit
gonna
down.
say, oh, that's a restaurant. You just have reservations and you have them see. I'm talking about fast food places. At restaurants, you
Mm-hmm.
don't get people that are yelling at the waiter right off the counter, right? Yeah, but
Yeah.
I see you're tricky.
Ah, you read
Ooh,
my mind.
I caught you instantly.
You read my mind. But but
Uh,
that's
the seats are bolted to
inshallah,
the
like
floor. There's another seat in front
abs-
of you. There's a table
no,
in between us. We eat off
no,
the
that's what.
table.
Oh no, what I meant is like the height of the stool. The height
Yeah.
of the stool, right? Be very extremely low, like 1 foot off the ground.
Wait, why?
So to humble the person even further. If you're gonna do it, you might as well do it correctly,
No,
so that they're
absolutely
sitting
not.
almost all
Because
to
now
the
you've
floor.
just made a step stool for them. They're gonna stand even taller.
Okay, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
You know what? That would have backfired.
You've
I'm
just
so
given them
glad you
the
thought of that.
authority over the people, the peasants.
Yeah. Can you please stand on your throne?
Yes,
In order to make the order,
literally.
just make it a throne.
Now they
All
can
right.
literally look down their nose at you.
Honestly, alhamdulillah, I have nothing but respect for people who work in any kind of food industry. I
Hmm.
would never have been able
Customer
to do it.
service.
Thank you, God.
We'll expand it to customer service industry.
Yeah, no, food industry is different. Like, cause I've worked all kinds of customer service
Hmm.
during my tenure, but I specifically was not stayed away from food industry because I don't have the. It takes a lot of patience.
I
It
think I
takes a lot
agree
of
with you
patience.
because with the food industry, you are actively arming your aggressor.
Yes, it's different.
Yeah.
With that, inshallah, hopefully everything that we said made sense, right? Like we specifically chose these two questions because they were reflective of people who were chosen by their families, primarily, again, to highlight that it really doesn't matter how you meet somebody, you still have to go through the same vetting process to make sure that you really are compatible, that this person has good character, that there is connection there, which is what seems to be missing from this one.
Yeah.
And that they have the capacity to be able to build a healthy marriage. I think that is everything.
Indeed.
Inshallah. Yeah.
Inshallah.
As yeah, and just to highlight, if you are somebody who is going through the wonderful world of dating apps, and like I was for a very long time, you are exhausted by the process and you are a woman, I offer a free webinar called Dating App Strategies That Actually Work. You can find a link on my Instagram page at Zara Hassan Coaching, or you can also find a link in the About section of this YouTube channel, inshallah. We have run quite a few of them, and I think they're starting to do real good, inshallah. Hopefully, saving people months and months of talking stages. Because I know you get to
Inshallah.
a certain point, yeah, and so you get to a certain point and you're like, I don't want to know one more person's favorite color. You
Mm.
just get tired of the whole
That's why I don't
process,
even ask those questions. That's why I just kidnap them.
right?
Yeah.
Do
So
you
much
do you remember?
faster. So much. I kidnapped you.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
some point you're gonna have to let me near a phone, but
Yeah.
okay,
It was
inshallah.
your choice, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't complain.
Yeah, it was your
Um,
choice because you continue talking to me. Like even after I kidnapped you, like, where are we going? Let me go.
that got very dark very quickly. One day, inshallah, I'll go through the different types of people, individuals that I met, because there are quite a few who were. I was worried that that would actually happen.
Mm,
And only by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that alhamdulillah we're all still here today.
Alhamdulillah.
Um, so I want to say Jazakallah Khair if you made it this far. Thank you so much. Jazakallah Khair. We really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed and you found the information beneficial, please subscribe. It lets us know that we're on the right track with what it is that we're producing in terms of content. And as you may have noticed, we have changed our posting schedule so that we're now posting on Mondays, inshallah. And if you have any questions, ask in the comments, email us. And I think that's everything. Okay, so I want to say Jazakallah Khair and Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.